What's up, guys? Michael Corsentino for Shutter Magazine with my May 2017 lighting tutorial. If you guys are finding this content valuable, as I'm sure that you are, do yourself a favor and head over to behindtheshutter.com and get yourself set up with a subscription to Shutter Magazine's print edition and online edition. It's jam-packed every month with amazing industry-leading professionals and that are guaranteed to take your photography to the next level. All right, so let's dig right into this month's lighting tutorial. I'm really excited about this one. This month we get to talk all about natural light. So I said in the beginning of the article, and I'll reiterate it here, that just as important as knowing when to deploy a strobe, when to turn on strobes and use artificial light, it's equally important to know when not to use strobes. And I say that because as someone who loves artificial light, it's really easy to get caught in this kind of bubble where you think that you need to use artificial light for everything that you're doing. And that really isn't the case. In many instances, you cannot beat what Mother Nature can bring to the table. But you just need to know how to work with it and how to get what you want from the light. And so we're going to talk about the tools that are some of my favorites that I use to do that for this particular shoot. And also I'll say that, for this particular shoot, you're going to see a style of lighting that I could not easily create, if at all, in the studio because of the level of wraparound light that I'm able to get using the style of lighting that I'm going to show you. All right, so the question often comes up, well, why not just do this in the studio? And I'm going to talk about that, but one of the reasons is because it would be really hard, if not impossible, to create this look in the studio. As you'll see. Okay, so here we're looking, you see on the left is the first look that we did, which is a softer look, and on the right is a harder look, and we're going to dig into both of those looks and how I created them. And again, this was all on location, natural light, no strobes used for this, okay? So let's dig into our tutorial. We'll turn that off. Okay, great. So here you're seeing this is all about scrims. The article was called Art of the Scrim, Daylight Location Portraits. And if to create that, now I use something called the California Sunbound Scrim, which you're seeing here. It's basically a pop-up tent that has, it's open only on the front, and every other side either gives you black or a scrim, a diffusion panel. Okay, so it's highly flexible. You can zip these panels in and out. As you see here, there's just a couple of the options, and you'll see the two iterations that we used to create these two different looks. But you can see here how you have just tons of different looks. You have a scrim on the top if you want to have a top light. You can scrim the back, or you can leave the back open. You can also put a net, something called a bobby net, on the back where you see the woman standing in the center, and that will knock down the light for the background if you want to bring in some of the environment. And that's important to you. The mission for this was really to create, to bring a studio with us to this beach location and to be able to create studio quality portraits on location wherever you go. And I really need to address this because this comes up all the time. Well, why don't you just, bring the person to the studio and do this in the studio? Well, the nice thing is I don't have to. I can take my studio with me wherever I go. And that's really the reason that this was created. Greg Gorman, a really talented photographer, created this in conjunction with California Sunbounds. Can you do this, by cobbing together a bunch of scrims and subtraction panels? Absolutely. But to do that, you'll need all sorts of C-stands and clamps and all the rest of it. And this is just a really nice all-in-one, portable solution, and that's why I use it. But you can DIY this, you can use PVC pipe. So please, if you're compelled to leave comments about how expensive it is or that you can't afford it, don't get caught up in that. Focus on the technique and what you can do with it, not on the particular gear that I'm using. This is gear that I've acquired after a 40-year career, and that's what I'm using. So, I use what I use. It doesn't mean you have to use that in order to create these results. All right, so California Sunbounce cage is what we used for the shoot. And you're going to see how we use that. Here's how it's put together. It's got these two frames that everything's modular, and as I showed you, it fits into that nice bag right there. So you can roll it around. It's really super portable. Okay, so I also brought with me some reflectors. I used silver in this case, a silver, and I have white on the other side so I can soften the look if I need to. We used a reflector in one of the looks. And I will say that I brought a couple of strobes, a couple of Profoto portable battery-operated strobes with us, just in case light wasn't cooperating. But happily, light was cooperating, so I was able to kind of create the looks that I wanted to. If not, it would have looked very different. All right, so here we are getting set up. This was the setup for our first look. So let's talk about what I was doing here and why I was doing it. The reason that I've got it set up the way that it is the sun was low in the sky, pretty much like over here, maybe even a little lower. And let's undo that. Maybe like right about here. And so it was lighting up this side. So what I wanted to do was create side light. So we left this open and we left the diffusion panel open here. And I had black in the back, and I also put a black seamless there. It's called an infinity fabric in sunbounce parlance. And we had black here, so it would subtract light on the top. And then on the top, this is open, and you'll see this in other slides, so that you're going to get light, a very diffuse light coming in from the top. Here I've got my laptop with a sunscreen and a C-stand so that I can view everything shooting tethered. My tripod for my medium format camera shooting with a Phase 1 IQ250, and a wind machine which we powered with my assistant Michael Freed. Was nice enough to bring his Vagabond little battery pack, so we were able to power that on set, which was really cool. Other than that, we didn't need any electricity, which is another really great thing about shooting with this kind of setup. You're able to have a studio on location without any power, and you're able to create these studio portraits. And you can also do both. You know, if you want to shoot studio quality portraits on location and you also want to do environmental portraits, you don't have to separate them into separate days. You don't have to have people travel to two locations. You can, you know, knock all of that out in one go, which is another real great benefit for that. Okay, so here is Michael setting this up, and you can see here how he's just zipping out this fabric. So you can also have this black on top if you want to block out the light from here, but we wanted that light coming in from here, and we wanted the light coming in from here to create this really soft look. And here's another picture of that flap being undone. Okay, here is the look for our first setup, okay? Here's Audra Say, my amazing hair and makeup artist, working on Willie Demi. Willie Demi Spink was our model for the day. She's an incredible model. Blessed to have her on set. You'll see she's just, you saw already, she's a gorgeous, elegant looking girl. So you can see here how everything's going to work. We're looking at the laptop, and having umbrellas was also really key. Big thanks to Audra for bringing umbrellas, keeping everyone cool while we were shooting. And here is the result. Okay, so this is what we get with this really simple setup. So let's talk about what's going on. I'm having the model turned profile toward what would be, in essence, the key light. So we've got that light coming from here, and it's hitting that scrim, which is there. And it's just giving this gorgeous wrap. So you can see the quality of the light. I would be hard-pressed to, and I have some really large light modifiers, but I would be hard-pressed to create this level of wrap, this softness that you can get from this massive source that is daylight, hitting this 8x8 scrim, creating an even more diffuse broad source, and just like washing Willie in this gorgeous, gorgeous soft light, right? So I'm pretty sold on this. And then we've got some light coming in from the top, giving us some little light here and kind of opening this up. And we don't really need any fill from below for this. It's just this really gorgeous porcelain kind of look, especially with the black and white conversion. I also applied a little bit of grain. I used Capture One Pro to do all that. And I was able to do that on set while I was tethering, and you'll have a slide or two about that so you can see that. So it's great to really be able to dial in those looks while you're on set. Here's another example from that light setup. Again, this time we've had Willie turn toward the camera, and you can see here that she's getting that, again, that side light happening all around here. Very soft, very beautiful, and then you can see the light on top coming from above, right? From that open diffusion panel on top. And then this is all closed. This is dark, just like on the other one. So we're getting some nice shadowing happening here, some nice fall off. But it's very soft and very beautiful, right? The shadows are, the transitions between shadow and highlight are very, very soft. which I love for this look. Okay, so, and here is our last select for that. We just had tons, but you know, I'm not going to show you all of them, but these three were some of the tops in my selects. So you can see here another just gorgeous version of that look. So those are the three that we did for look number one, and I believe I have a slide to show you all three together. Yeah, there they are. Okay. So I'm really happy with that. Just a lovely set of images. But we can also, again, this way of shooting is highly versatile. So we can change it up and we can do something else and create a more specular looking light, a more contrasty effect, something a little harder and a little more edgy. So let's take a look at what we did to get ready for that. Oh, let's talk about tethering. So again, for you guys follow my stuff, you know I'm a big proponent of tethering, and here I am looking at my laptop on set, and you can see here that we've dialed in the black and white conversion. I'm looking at Capture One Pro and just making sure that everything is good to go. So what the cool thing about tethering is it slows you down and it makes you more deliberate in what you're doing, and consequently you shoot less, you have more winners. You know, your team can see what you're doing. Everyone knows that they're getting what they're supposed to, and it's a great way to work. I wouldn't work any other way. Does it take a little bit more effort? Certainly it does. Do you have to lug a little bit more gear? Yes, you do. But it's just a great way to work. Quick shout out to the folks at Digiplate. Innovative, I think now, is the one who sells this product. This is their Digiplate, I believe is what it's called. Digiplate is the 9volt. Sorry, 9volt is the company that created this. Innovative, sells it, and it's called the Digiplate, and it's kind of a cheese plate for those of you guys in video. It's got all sorts of holes in it, so you can configure it any which way that you want and attach various size drives and lock down the laptop and all the rest of it. So it keeps everything in place. It's great. And then it's got this sunshade, which you can see here. So it's got this little hole so you can look in. It keeps the laptop nice and shaded and cool, which in this case was key because it was really, really hot. So just a great way to work. All right, so that's enough on tethering. Okay, so here is what we were setting up for the second look. Okay, so you can see here that now we've blocked off that side panel. Okay, and so we've got everything is blocked off except the top, right? So all we have is light coming in from the top. But as you can see here, we don't have a whole lot of light coming in from the top. The light has now shifted. You can see shadows are going this way. The sun is now over here. So I shot a couple exposures that way, and I wasn't so happy with the differential between the two looks. So when I looked up and I saw where the sun was, we decided to switch the whole thing around, to spin the entire orientation of this around so that we would get a lot more light coming through here and really creating bright light there, which we could then bounce back by putting a reflector here. So let's take a look at that. So, oh, and here's me shooting and the fan that we were using. And here is our new orientation. Okay, so I included this because you can kind of see here the rays of the sun, which gives you an indication of where the sun was. So now we have a much, much brighter light happening there. And that, you can't really make it out in this exposure because it's kind of underexposed, but it really gave a lot more light. It gave a really bright hair light, accent rim light, whatever you want to call it, on Willie's hair. And then we have a reflector here. Now we used it on the side, but we also used it in front of me to bounce light back up. So we did kind of two of those things. And I'll take you through a few of those slides and you'll see that. Okay, so here is where we started. We started with it, you know, shooting up with the reflector, and you can see here there's more light happening here. And this is just going to give us a very different look than what we first had, which is that really soft look. All right, so there's a couple more shots. BTS, a few more with this reflector on the side. Here's how things were looking on the back of the Phase 1 IQ 250. A couple more BTS shots, and you can see here, there we go. You can see here what's going on here. Again, black. This is all blocked. Only light is here, and then we've got our reflector bringing light back in there and there. Okay, and here's the result. So a very different looking quality of light, but an equally beautiful quality of light, an equally valid representation of studio photography, and something that I think and you'll see they both work really well together. And I always like to create a variety, and I've talked about this before, but you'll see here when we look at the overview of the shots that there are going to be some that are really tight, and there are going to be some that are, you know, full figure or 3/4. So I like to create a variety of crops in camera because they work well editorially, and they work well for layout purposes. And it's just more interesting to shoot that way. Okay, so here is our next shot from that set. I think we've got 4 in this particular set to show you. And another one. Willie is just a phenomenal model. Just really knows how to do her thing. Okay, and let's take a look at all of them together from that set. That's look number 2. And let's move on to what they look like together. Okay, so there is, on the left is one of the captures from look number 1, and on the right, one of the captures from look number 2. And you can see here how there's a bit of variation in the crop, and I think it works really nicely together. So that is going to wrap it up for this month. I want to give a huge shout out to my team, the amazing Willie Demi-Spink for modeling, Audra C., our hair and makeup artist, did a phenomenal job as usual. Rachel Nicole Velez pulled beautiful clothes as always. This was a little light on the clothes, but she is always a tremendous asset. And big thanks to my assistants, Michael Freed and Kelly Clore, for all their great help. Well, that's going to wrap it up, guys. Thanks for tuning in this month. Feel free to post your questions, and I will do my best to answer them. And again, don't focus on the gear. Get out there, use what you have, DIY, use PVC pipe, use bed sheets, use fabrics. That you can find all sorts of fabrics readily available in your fabric stores to create scrims. Whatever you need to do, you can rent this gear. So just get out there, hit a home run, and I can't wait to see you next month. Take care.